you are. I'm glad to see you today. Those are the words opening the brand new movie we're going to talk about today, and they're from the mouth of Mike Rowe. You may remember him for his very well-known television show called Dirty Jobs. Well, Mike is a beautiful storyteller, and he and some others have put together a brand new movie called Something to Stand For. He's taken stories of well-known American figures and some not so well-known and helped use those stories to tell us the great story of our American heritage. So you're going to be excited because we're about to have a conversation with the director of the film, whose name is Jonathan Cousins. I'm so glad you're here today to hear about this movie coming out very soon. You'll want to take your family to this great show. Stay tuned. My name is Jean Thomason, and this is Momentum Influencers Network. Hi there, friends. Thank you for taking your time to spend a little time with us today. I am honored that in the studio today, all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma, we have a director of a movie we're going to talk about, Jonathan Cousins. Welcome to Insight Studios today.
Welcome. You, Jean. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Momentum Influencers Network. We cannot wait. Well, spoiler alert, I've seen it. I'm so excited about this, and so I want you to tell all our viewers today about how in the world you got involved with Mike Rowe and this movie called Something to Stand For.
That's right, yeah. So the movie's called Something to Stand For, and it's based on Mike's really popular podcast, The Way I Heard It. It's a combination of short stories that we kind of knit together as Mike makes his way through DC, which I know everybody's like, oh, I don't want to go see a DC movie. Well, this is not that. This is stories of American heroes, pivotal figures that have played a part in our nation's history, everyday citizens that really just show what makes our country great. And it just is a way to honor America and kind of bring us back to our roots. I think that's kind of what Mike does, and he's an amazing storyteller, and we've picked 9 short stories to tell. Mysteries. They're mysteries. So don't spoil anything, Jean. I know you've seen the movie.
I won't.
All right. But they're little mysteries, kind of in the style of Paul Harvey. And we take that mystery at the end, we reveal it, and people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was... And I'm not going to spoil it, but
I know.
It's
I did it every time. Except for one, which I knew, but that was the only one but there was only one. And so I won't spoil it, but I was just saying how much fun that was. And I just loved that whole device.
It's a totally different movie experience.
Yes, it is.
Because, a lot of people go to movies and, there's great stories. I mean, like, the cinema is amazing, but in this movie particular, like, we have all kinds of little payoffs and emotional moments all throughout the way. And every 10 minutes, at least I hope every 10 minutes we're blowing our audience away with something new and something fresh. And it all ties back to what makes our country great, what makes America the greatest nation in the world, and why freedom and values and family tradition is so important here in the States.
How did you meet Mike and get involved in this project?
Well, it was kind of random. So originally, I was a fan of the podcast, and the way that Mike says it, these are short stories for a short attention span, and that's kind of me. And we were listening one day on a road trip, and I binged probably 40 of them, not joking, on the way to Kansas City, and I was just a huge fan. And then one of our producing partners that I work with said, hey, I got a call from Mike Rowe and Trinity Broadcasting Network, and they wanted to know if we would be interested in turning some of these audio, because they're audio mysteries, into like a visual mystery. And I was like, man, I don't know how to do that with some of them, because the whole idea is you can't give away who he's talking about before the end of the mystery. And so we do a lot of really creative ways, or a lot of really creative things in order to kind of hide the reveal. And as you've experienced, whenever that reveal comes at the end, it's just a really fun experience, and you get to experience something that you've never experienced before in a theater. And so we got involved with Mike we've made 78 of these so far. They're 9 to 10 minutes, 9 to 12 minutes a piece. And so we did the first 10, and they were a huge hit. And so now we're at 78. And so kind of a wild ride over the last couple of years. And so this movie is just a way that we can tie some of the most influential Americans, some of the most pivotal Americans in our nation's history together and celebrate kind of who we are as a country.
because I was just saying right before we went onto camera how I love the way that Mike is the storyteller, and he has that velvety kind of voice that is easy to listen to. But you did the most interesting thing, I thought, and that you never even used the voices of the actors. Instead, they're moving their mouth, and then Mike is telling the whole story through them, which really turned out to be, to me, that made it more interesting and more fun. And then you changed time periods. I'm not giving anything away, but back and forth, some things that were older stories, some that were newer stories, but you tricked us, the viewers, you tricked us by placing some things in a period idea that turned out to be a more modern story, and then vice versa. And what a brilliant idea. I just have to tell you, from a viewer, it was so interesting, and I couldn't wait to hear the next story. I really was going on. And some things were funny, and then for the most part, for me, because I'm a bit of a weeper, I mean, I was moved to tears. I just thank you for pointing out things that were so strong and beautiful in the way that they told the stories, that it was very touching.
Yeah, I mean, our goal as storytellers is always to try to touch the heart, right? And some of these stories in particular in this film, they really move you, and all of them are true 100%. I mean, there's a little creative liberty there, but why water down what is truth? And we have such a amazing history, and the people that built this country and the values that those people have, they're still important. They're still real. And sometimes, I think we move away from that as a country. And what Mike and I and the team tried to do is really point out, hey, this is what our American values were, and this is what they should still be today. And so, we made all of these movies, I say all these movies because really, you're going to see one movie, but you're really seeing 9 different little movies inside of 96 minutes. And all of them, they all have a message, they all have heart, and the thread that ties them all together is, hey, when you stand for something, you can make a difference and make an impact in history. And I think everyday citizens throughout the everyday citizens in history in our country made a difference because they stood for something. And a lot of times today, I think people are either afraid to stand up for something, or they don't know what to even stand for. And so I think, the thread and the message of this movie is there are values and things in our country that are still worth standing for. And we just try to tell that message in a fun, creative way that reminds people of where we've came from and where we could go if we stand for something again. Because
I've already seen this movie, I just want to thank you. And I'm thanking you in advance for all the people who are watching this interview, and then also the people that are going to see the movie. We thank you for taking the time, you and Mike and all the writers and whoever, for taking the time to put this together, because I was very moved. I say it again, just because I really was, and especially because in the movie, he visits many of the monuments in Washington,
Yeah.
D.C., and stands in front of the Lincoln Memorial, stands in front of the Vietnam War Memorial, and talks to some of the veterans and the Marines and the Iwo Jima and those things. And those are the things that younger people in our nation, and not just them, but all of us, we need to be reminded of those sacrifices. And here we are at Memorial Day talking about that. And that soon the movie is coming out. So talk about the way that you decided to weave together the stories with all the Washington, D.C. Experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, sometimes we kind of take for granted some of the memorials and some of the great men that we idolize, in a sense, here in the United States. And we go, oh, yeah, that's the Lincoln Memorial. Oh, yeah, that's the Washington Monument. Oh, yeah, that's the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Oh, yeah, that's the Iwo Jima Memorial. But we don't really understand the price that was paid by those men in order to have a memorial or a monument named after them. And so I think what we wanted to do in this movie is to just remind the audience that those things are not just buildings. Those things are not just stone or bronze, but those things people actually sacrificed, gave their lives in many cases in order to have our freedom, in order for us to be able to share what we believe, free speech, freedom of religion, all of those things. We touch on civil rights. You know, one of the stories, without giving anything away, I mean, we have so many freedoms because great people who we have monuments and memorials to decided that America was worth sacrificing for, and that the values, all men are created equal, the amendments, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, all of those things have been memorialized, but they didn't come without sacrifice.
Oh, that was so well said. Bravo and amazing. And one of the things I loved about the decision that you made to highlight these people is everyone you highlighted was one person, was an individual, and one person who had the courage to do what you just said, which is to make the decision to stand for something. And we can still all do that as individuals. We can say, I will be like that person. I could be like this person. And they were men and women in all walks of life. One of the things I found pretty fabulous were the reenactments you did with the military things. So let us know about how you did all that.
Yeah, so it's actually really fun. So, you know, no one likes a history documentary. I mean, I'm sure people do.
Yeah.
But, you know, our approach has always been, hey, let's tell people stories that they'll remember and then they'll walk away talking about. And one of the ways that we decided to do that was large-scale cinematic reenactment. So even though Mike is telling you a story, essentially in voiceover, we go back in time or stay in the present or blow things up with this huge cinematic experience that brings to life these American heroes and these American stories. So we look at everything from, 1776 essentially through the Civil Rights Movement, through the Civil War, and even up to present day. And there's some really big surprises in there with who we talk about and what we say. But as far as entertainment value goes, this isn't just a documentary. This isn't just a road trip of Mike walking through DC. This is a fun 4th of July celebration with large-scale battle sequences, and then really, really touching moments of American heroes that we all love and adore. But we get to bring them to life in a way that you've never seen them before. I mean, it's not like we have George Washington up there on a horse. No, we do something that you've never seen, and I can't spoil it because it would give away a lot of the mystery. But it's fun, and everyone who's seen it has said, I just love the reenactments. They really moved my spirit, touched my heart. They made me cry. They made me laugh. There's quite a few pretty funny things all throughout. So I just really encourage you. Tickets are on sale now. The film opens June 27th, and it's playing to July 4th. So We want people to see it from June 27th to July 4th. Celebrate Independence Day. Go out and vote for something with your dollars that's family and fun and American friendly. I mean, this is not a woke movie. This is a movie that celebrates who we are as Americans, celebrates our values, celebrates our traditions, and it's really just a call to remember the sacrifice and the stories that make our nation great.
Oh, very well said. Thank you. And I was thinking, as you were saying that, of the concept of the butterfly effect. You know, you never know what this happened, well, something amazing and grand happened here, but it would not have happened had not this happened. And then that wouldn't have happened had that. And you did that, and you traced some things back and showed us a couple of quite amazing and unknown stories. And those were the kinds of things for me that I thought, Jonathan, wow, I could have been that person, or my husband could have been that person who did this, which caused that, which made that happen, which ended up producing this. And it's just, there's the beautiful God factor in the whole thing, because we never know how God is using each one of us in our seemingly small ways to interact and influence and ultimately produce something that's worth standing for. So thank you for telling the story in such a way that moved me and caused me to think, wow, you know, my voice matters.
Yeah.
My action matters.
And I think that's it. I think, you know, this is a movie for the family, but it's also for the individual to say, hey, you know, one individual can make such a difference. And we show stories of, again, American heroes who demonstrate that courage, that determination, that resilience, that stitch the American fabric together because they believed that the individual mattered. And our individual values is what makes our country great. And so, you know, I just encourage your audience, you know, June 27th, tickets are on sale now. Go get them before they run out. It's a limited showing nationwide in AMC, Cinemark, and Regal. Up to July 4th. Don't wait till July 4th to see it, because the movies are going to be packed on July 4th. Get your tickets, you know, the weekend before, and then share it with your friends. It's something we're standing for, but it's also something worth sharing.
We are going to do our best to tell as many people as we know. And if they wanted to buy a ticket today, how can they go and find that?
Yeah, go to somethingtostandfor.movie. That's somethingtostandfor.movie. And you can buy your ticket. It's playing all over the country. If you're a veteran, I know many theaters give veteran discounts, so take advantage of that. And this is a movie, again, this is a movie for the whole family. It's fun, it's exciting, and it opens June 27th through July 4th.
That's right. Something to stand for. Thank you, Jonathan Cousins. Appreciate your time today. God bless you, and may God give you many, many more projects to do.
Thanks so much.
Okay, bye.